Hi, Fiber friends. I am Maren. I'm the marketing manager at COS Systems. And in that role, it is my job to get our message across and to tell people what we're doing and how we can help them run their networks smarter. And what better way to do that than talking to someone who is already doing it? So this is why today I want to introduce you to one of our dear customers, NoaNet, whom we've been working with for a long time. And I especially want to introduce you to Claire Ward, who's been working with us for just as long, I think. But Claire, please introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me, Maren. I'm the Market Development Manager over at Northwest Open Access Network, but most folks call us NoaNet. And yes, we've been working with COS for a very long time. I've been with NoaNet for 10 years, and I think we were already hanging out with COS at that point. So our long-term support system. And I just really value your team. I really value your software, and it has helped NoaNet really support local communities in getting their fiber to the home networks up and running. And we just couldn't do it without you. So glad to be here.
Thank you so much. But that brings us right to background and mission. So one of our missions and the center of COS is bridging the digital divide. And I think that resonates really well with NoaNet. But can you please share the story of how NoaNet was established and what your mission is?
Yeah, definitely. So NoaNet's a bit of a unique creature. We were founded almost 25 years ago. We're about to celebrate our 25-year anniversary. And we were founded by public utilities in the state of Washington, up in the northwest corner of the United States. And they had these local fiber networks that were managing their utility operations, their electricity providers, water providers, sewer providers, etc. And they had these local assets, but then someone stepped back and said, if we connect all these, it could be very, very cool. So with a lease from the Bonneville Power Administration fiber optics, we started connecting all of these disparate networks and created a large statewide entity. And like I said, that was back in 2000. So pretty cutting edge at the time.
Very pioneer, yeah.
Yeah, kind of pioneering. And from day one, it was open access,
Wow.
Which I think again, open access is sort of a buzzword now, but revolutionary, at least in the US 25 years ago. So we used this public power infrastructure, really started doing wholesale transport services and supplying connectivity through, long distance runs to help costs down for private providers to bring services to folks. That has evolved over the years. So fast forward to 2008, we got a major grant and started expanding our infrastructure deeper into rural communities. Our owner members have always been local rural utility districts, right? So we've always focused on rurality. They're all nonprofit organizations. They're all public serving, and NoaNet identifies with that, right? So we're a nonprofit statewide open access ecosystem, which started expanding more rapidly in 2008 or so. And then to 2015, we saw, oh my goodness, we've gotten this middle mile pretty deep into communities. We expected for fiber ecosystems to develop, out to the homes, and it just happened in a lot of communities. It was still too much of a barrier to get fiber to the home. So we started in 2015 with our community broadband program, supporting communities to get grants for themselves and build out local fiber infrastructure.
So you're helping the communities.
Yeah, we go in with, we work with community leaders and we help them figure out a plan. So we help them identify the problem. Then we help them figure out what the solution might look like, and then we'll go seek grants along with them to get money for them to build the systems that can help serve the communities.
Wow. So my next question would have been, what do you think makes NoaNet's approach to broadband unique? But I think you very much covered that. So to sum it up, I would say that you are a nonprofit who works with nonprofits. You're really good at applying for grants and helping communities applying for grants. You're there from the get-go. You're supporting them, and you're PUD owned. Did I forget anything? Please add.
I would add one thing to that. And yes, we work really closely with nonprofits and the public sector. We also work really closely with the private sector.
Okay.
I think that's a really unique position that NoaNet's in, is that we still supply wholesale services. We have 100 service providers who use the NoaNet infrastructure to facilitate local services. And we buy from them too. We share networks from them to get where we can go, so we can reduce the cost of infrastructure being built, and we can spend, sorry, I'm getting alerts on my side. So we can get further into communities and build that last mile infrastructure. So I think that's really unique, that we're public, we work with publics, we also work really closely with privates and value those partnerships to serve folks with retail services.
It sounds like a perfect example, but I do imagine that there are some challenges and some struggles. Can you tell us about your biggest challenges in connecting underserved and rural communities and how you've addressed them?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge is these communities that are left unserved today are the really, really hard ones. The low-hanging fruit is long gone. These are folks that often have very little local government, right? Even if you know, some of these organizations have 5 employees. These aren't major governments that have 100 people working who can really pull together something like a broadband program. And I think that that's where NoaNet can be really helpful, that we're doing this statewide. We are a division of government, and we can step in and really, with the same ethos and rule set and vision and mission of serving the public, we can come in and work with them and on their behalf to support them.
Do you have I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you have a concrete example where you feel like NoaNet has made a huge impact? I guess there are plenty, but can you think of one?
Well, my shining star is Lewis TUD, and I wish Willie Painter and the whole Lewis team, was here to speak for themselves. But we've been working with them really closely since 2020, actually using COS from the very onset of that relationship, running a community survey. And we all know what was happening in early 2020. And we thought about, should we delay launching this survey by a couple weeks until this COVID thing blows over? And thank goodness we did not delay in launching that survey. But we used the COS system to run a survey for the community, get a real sense of what the demand and need was within Lewis County. And there was a lot of demand, there was a lot of need. So we took that information and it pivoted to us designing networks to serve the entire county of Lewis County. So it's a large geographic region to figure out how to build a network to. And we broke it down into bite-sized chunks, and then we started going after funding for each one of those. And to date, they have secured, I think it's more than $56 million. We are serving customers as of fall 2023. Or 2024, excuse me. We're serving the first customers as of this fall, with 2 more service areas about to go online, and we've got funding for close to 9,000 homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So major success story. We're now using the COS business engine to manage the open access network and provision services, and it's just really been a wonderful tool from the beginning to get this project off the ground.
Fantastic. So now that you've already touched upon COS or COS, we don't know either what to call it. In Swedish, it's COS. But let's dive into our partnership, the partnership between COS Systems and NoaNet. So how long have you been working with COS? You already touched upon it. I think it was there when you started 10 years ago.
I think it's right about 10 years. Yeah, and we started using it as a demand aggregation system to understand and map need. And then, we've evolved all the way to using it to fully integrate and operate systems.
Yeah, so what else are you using the tool for? Or do you have a favorite feature or something that you use in every project?
I have 2 favorite features. So one that so COS is a unique system. There are operator systems like this that allow you to run networks. COS is the only one I know of that really integrates in an open access network the way that it does. And it allows multiple service providers to integrate with a network owner and the customers all in one ecosystem. And it just makes keeping things organized much more simple, and allows everyone to have one data set to work off of, which is invaluable. You know, most professionals know what it's like to spend half a day chasing down a piece of information. And that's been eliminated, which we're grateful for. The other thing is that I really value it as a community communications tool. And that's maybe just because of my, you know, my chair in the organization as a communications person, but it allows us to discreetly, per area that we're working on, deliver messages to customers. So rather than them always calling customer service lines, asking, you know, what's the status on this project, they just search their address and we can populate messages for them saying, we're doing pre-construction work. You know, you'll be hearing from us in 2 months to get your fiber connection. And it just really, it streamlines so much of that work so we can be more effective at a greater scale.
I'll make sure that our software engineers get to hear how much you like that functionality of the software. So what do you say if you had to summarize? What do you like about Business Engine?
Well, we knew that if we were going to step into this space and really support communities with their local networks, that we were going to need to be able to automate. There's just not enough population to support the amount of staff it would take to do it any other way. So I think COS is a pretty important tool for us as far as streamlining and automating goes. And in addition to those things I said, it also can integrate to support auto provisioning, right? So instead of having to do that communication moment where folks on site are calling the NOC who are figuring out how to get this up, and it takes 30 minutes, instead folks are up and running in a minute. And again, it just allows us to do this work at a cost that these very rural, unserved areas can make work.
Sounds fantastic. I'm really glad to hear it, because that's what we want to achieve, right? Reach as many people as possible, as efficiently as possible, and also as profitable as possible, of course. But based on everything you just told us, what do you think, what role does NoaNet play in bridging the digital divide over the next, say, decade?
Doing more of this, right? So everyone's talking about BEAD right now in the United States, this huge infrastructure package. So Washington State, we're in it right now. We're writing the applications, and we're just helping empower rural communities in these persistently underserved communities to know that there is a path forward. There is a path forward, even if it feels like this insurmountable problem that you're facing. There are resources. We have public utilities in the state who have been doing this for a long time now. We have an organization like NoaNet that can serve statewide. There's other organizations too supporting these kind of efforts here. So we're glad to be able to be a partner. We're glad to have a well-worn path now to help folks get where they need to go, and the tools that can help make it happen.
Do you think that people are generally open to the open access approach? I mean, you mentioned earlier that you started with it a long time ago as pioneers, basically, when nobody in the States was using the business model. How do you feel it's like today?
I think it changes state to state, really. I mean, I think Washington State, maybe in part to NoaNet, but also because the state legislature saw open access as a really important way to ensure communities were going to be well served, and efficiency in public funding to prioritize open access networks. I think it's a little bit more accepted here than in many other places, but I hope it's catching on. I definitely am hearing about it more and seeing it more in federal level programs. So hopefully it will continue to grow here.
Yeah, we hope so too, because it's a great model for many. What advice would you give to another network operator who's considering to adapt or to shift to an open access network?
Find folks who have done it. Talk to folks, find out what systems and tools work, what don't work. I do think that open access has become more palatable even outside of Washington State, because there are now service providers who have built their model based on working on open access networks. You know, so I think there's more partners available now than there used to be.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be my advice, is go talk to folks who are doing it, see if it's a system that might make sense for your community.
Yeah, and there's more and more of people who have done it and companies who know how to do it.
Exactly. You need to reinvent the wheel. Go talk to folks and learn the lessons from them instead of for yourself.
So based on everything we just talked about, why do you think people should be working with COS?
Well, you guys are lovely, which is one reason. You're really great to work with. But I think also just, I mean, going back to that, you guys have a system that is meant for open access. This isn't an off-label use of it. You're not piecemealing something together. It's an integrated system that everyone can come together in one place and work together to accomplish a common goal.
Well, thank you so much, Claire, for taking the time to do this interview and for sharing your insights. And if you have just watched this thinking, this might just be the right fit for us, or if you want to learn more, click the button below, book a demo with us, and get in touch. Bye.